All right, we should be live on both YouTube and Facebook, but I don't see Facebook. Do you see Facebook, Leroy?
Well,
Let's.
I'm on my phone, so I can't
Okay.
see anything.
Okay,
Yeah,
we are on Facebook. Hey,
cool.
YouTube. Hey, Facebook. We are live with more than just a movie. MT Jams, where we break down classic Black films. This is Leroy and I. We're streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. I thought about it. I was like, oh, we haven't been streaming live on Facebook. So since me and Leroy are on Facebook, what's up, Facebook? Hey, Leroy.
What's going on, Missy? It's
How you?
Friday.
It's Friday, and I didn't get paid. Look, Friday
I
just got.
know, right?
I didn't get paid.
Hey,
I
that song you want to talk about? You want to talk about one hit wonders? That was definitely one because Johnny, was it Johnny Kemp?
Johnny Kemp.
Yeah, I don't think he had another song after that one, did he?
No, and the weird part. I mean, I know we're not talking about this, but the
Yeah.
weird part. I just want to make sure our favorite viewer knew that we were on this special
Oh,
day
cool.
in time because I've been working like crazy, so we
Yeah.
didn't get a chance to do it Thursday, but we are doing it now. But the weird thing about Johnny Kemp, I know we're not talking about that, but how he passed away. Do you realize how he passed away?
Oh, no, I didn't realize he had passed away.
He passed away a few years ago, and he was on his way to the Tom Joyner cruise to perform, and he
Oh,
passed away
wow.
on his way going there. And
Did
I
they say
remember
what happened?
also, I think was it a car it was something
Like
on
a
the
heart
way
attack or
there.
something?
I can't remember what it was. I gotta look. Let me look it up right now. But I just remembered that he was supposed to be
Wow.
performing,
Uh-huh.
and he never got there. Let me look at this.
Wow.
Let me see.
That's crazy.
Johnny, I know. And he was on his way to do what he loved. So let me just see that real quick since we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if they'll say, look, it says is Johnny Kemp a one-hit wonder.
Oh, wow. They should have did that. How you gonna
No,
just do
okay,
that?
how he passed away. I would have to look that. I have to look it up in a minute. I can't remember. I did know back then because I was like, that is such a freak. It was like a freak accident. I remember that, and I was just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
wow, wow. All right, Leroy, I see your face. That's all I see.
You see my face? I'm
I
sorry.
see it
Hold on.
up in the camera. I'm not sure if you froze or not. But dear Lord, please let the Wi-Fi.
No, it's not the Wi-Fi. It's not the Wi-Fi. It's me.
Okay, because you're frozen.
Yeah, it was me. I'm sorry. I was trying to share it. See, that's why I can't. Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
if I'm
You're on
on
your
my phone,
phone.
I can't share. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it'll pop up. It'll pop off. It'll
That's
freeze
right.
up. It freeze the
Do
phone.
you want me to do you want me to tag you?
No,
So you
no, I
good?
got it. I got it. I sent it. Yeah, I sent it. Yep, yep.
All right. All right. Well, Leroy was like, it ain't no Wi-Fi. It's just me. I was like, oh Lord, baby Jesus. Please let it work. All right. So welcome to MT Jams. This is more than just a movie. Season 2. We have reviewed in our special way your favorite movie, your favorite Black movie. Trust me. We've had everything from Best Man, Loving Basketball, Love Jones, New Jack City. We have had everything. When you go back and look at the movies we've reviewed, Boomerang, all of the classic Black films that you love and the people that you love in it. So this is season 6, and it's no different. Season 6. I'm claiming a season 6. Season 2. And last season we didn't do Jason's Lyric, but guess what? We are doing it now. So go tell all your friends and your family right now that we are talking about Jason's Lyric, right? Because there are so many little kids that were named Lyric after this movie in 1994. There are so many, even in the schools where I work, or even in the little kids that I knew, of my friend, my daughter's friends, and their people. Lyric was a hot name after this movie.
Now
Leroy
I
just
have.
asked me a question. He said, and we'll talk about this, but he said, do you think this is Jada Pinkett's favorite movie. And on the ad, I put
not favorite, not
best,
favorite,
best,
best movie.
best movie, right? And that is a difference. Was it this or Set It Off, which we haven't done yet, which we still have to do. But welcome, Leroy, to MT Jams on this special day in time.
I know, right? I have she's my second cousin because she's my first cousin's daughter. Her
Mm-hmm.
name is Lyric. Her name is
Mm-hmm.
Lyric.
How old is she?
So Lyric is, I think, 7 now.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of lyrics.
I think she's 7. She's about 7 now or so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's about 7, maybe even 9. But yeah, but when you said that, I think of all of the, and that's a pretty name. I love that
It
name.
is.
I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a very pretty name. So
It
they
is.
did good with that. So
It definitely is. It's a pretty name, and to me it's a strong name and a soft name.
Mm,
I like it a lot.
mm-hmm.
So I told Leroy last night, to be honest with you, I've seen this movie, you and I both, hundreds of times. And I was going to watch it before we decided to do Jason's Lyric today, a few weeks ago. But I just
Okay.
wasn't in the headspace because it's heavy. A lot of parts are
Mm-hmm.
heavy when we're talking about coming back from the war, with Mad Dog, and
Yeah.
mental illness and mental health, and also Jason carrying the weight on his shoulders of his father, of his brother, of his mother, and not being able to fly his wings and be who the man he wanted to be, because he was consumed with everyone else and what he did as a child by mistake. And that trauma followed him into adulthood until he met Lyic, who gave him breath, who allowed him to breathe and gave him permission and told him, his life is okay. It's not his fault. So there was so many different heavy things, and I have to be in the mind space to see Jason's Lyric. And it's also such a beautiful love story. So let's talk about Jason's Lyric. I remember seeing it in the movies. Jada Pinkett, that was before she was a Smith, honey. She was fine as wine. Then you had Alan Payne, fine as wine. So two beautiful people on the screen together was amazing.
And
Remember when it came out?
and weren't they both coming off of, Jada was coming off of A Different
Mhm.
World, and Alan Payne was coming off of Cosby
Show.
at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, welcome,
yeah.
Dr. Leroy Mckenzie Jr. We just started talking. Hey, Leroy.
Huh?
I said I didn't know if I properly introduced you. This is Dr. Leroy
Oh,
Mckenzie Jr. We just
you know
started
how we do. We just get right. We just get right into it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. But I was thinking. Yeah, and I'm thinking 94. That was when, I don't
21
know
years
if.
Jada was.
Yeah, I'm thinking Jada had just started, if I'm not mistaken, had just started A Different World. Because
Mm-hmm.
The Different World might have just been ending, like with just bringing them on, bringing
Mm-hmm.
her and that second crew of school kids, of college kids, and
Yeah.
then Alan Payne, of course, had been on the Cosby Show.
And he was
Um,
also on A Different World for like that one season, one
was
episode,
he?
like a couple
Okay,
episodes. But
okay,
A Different World ended in 1993, and this one came out in 94, which means they
well,
probably filmed it in 1993.
correct. Right. Okay, yeah, yeah, but definitely that was this one. I think this movie kind of, I like I said, this one and Set It Off, I think, are probably Jada's best movies I can
Yeah,
think of. I mean,
yeah.
I know The Inkwell is there, but I ain't too big about The Inkwell.
I like
Um,
it. Well,
yeah, and she's been in a couple other. The one, Low Down Dirty Shame, that was funny,
that's ooh,
but
Peaches. That was my movie,
I
Peaches.
know, right?
So let's talk about. I
Yeah, she
watched,
played Peaches though, didn't she? She played
and I
Peaches
still
though.
like, and I like Woo. You gotta like. I like the movie Woo with her in it. She was funny to me. She was funny in Woo. And recently, this week, season 2 of The Equalizer with Queen Latifah. She was
Uh,
in, Jada was in The Equalizer, and she was
really?
funny and quirky, and it worked
Oh,
because you
okay.
know Latifah is her girl. Set It Off. Then they put her will
Yeah.
her talk show, and then Girls Trip, and so that's her girl, her real
Well, that's right.
age.
I forgot about Girls Trip too. Yeah,
Yeah,
Girls Trip was good too. Yeah, Girls
Jada
Trip
was
was
good
good.
in Girls Trip. She was funny. She was
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So her and Queen Latifah were together in that. So let's talk about Jason's Lyric. It came out in 1994. They call it an erotic romance psychological crime drama film. That's a
What
lot,
the
but
devil?
that's a lot. But if you think about it, it really is erotic, romantic, because they were all rolling around on the, on the
In the
grass,
grass.
roses. And then remember when she came to the TV shop and he had her up on the counter. So I guess it is. And then psychological crime where, we're dealing with the brother and the father with
Even Mad, even Michael, even Mad Dog, Forrest Whitaker's character, that issue with the
yeah,
veteran and the mental health and everything. They
yeah,
touched on a lot of stuff in
yeah.
this movie. They
It's
did.
a
They
lot.
really
It
did.
starred Alan Payne, Jada Pinkett, Bokeem Woodbine, Tretch, Eddie Griffin, Forrest Whitaker, and my girl, and I can't believe they don't have her on here, but Suzanne
Suzanne
Douglas
Douglas.
passed
Yeah,
a few years ago, and Lisa Nicole Carson, who played
yeah.
Nia Long's, sister friend in Love Jones. We talked about her there, and she's like, "Ooh, my favorite line of hers, like, I wish an Inna rubbed these feet." When Jada was like, he even washed my feet. And she was good in that. But speaking of mental illness, she suffered breakdown. I remember when she
Yeah.
was on Ally McBeal,
Talked about that.
and she talked about that, and then later she resurfaced in the New Edition story. But she struggled with mental health issues too, because remember, she was on everything back in the 90s,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
she disappeared. But this was a $7 million budget to make this movie. I'm just going to read this. In a violent, drug infested neighborhood in Houston, Jason's dreams of something better. He worked as a TV salesman and helped out his mother and tries to steer criminal minded brother Joshua, Bokeem Woodbine, onto the right path. But real joy enters Jason's life when he meets Lyic. As their romance develops, Jason starts to see a future for himself while also being forced to confront his painful secret from the past. It was a $7 million budget, and it made 20 million over almost $21 million in the box office. It came out September 28th, 1994. Jason's Lyric is what we're talking about. If you're just tuning in to More Than Just a Movie, MT Jams. All right, Leroy. So when you think about Jason's Lyric, first, love the title. We didn't know what it was going to be about until we saw the trailers. What do you think about, other than this being Jada's best work? She was 21 years old, because we're the same age. I'm just a few months older than her. And I remember I was 21 years old when this movie came out. And as I rewatch it, Jada looked beautiful in this movie. And so did Alan Payne. It was a good looking couple, I must say. But it was a lot of
No,
pain and hurt in this movie. Whew.
no. I was looking at when you gave those numbers, and I was looking at the numbers. The I guess the studio was happy because they pretty much
Mm-hmm.
tripled their money back.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't see a lot of movies do that, especially when it comes to somewhat with our movies. They're under budget. I mean, underfunded. $7 million. That's a way small
Yeah.
budget for a movie. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So $7 million, and then it turned around and made almost, like you said, almost 21 million.
Yeah.
Man, you can't beat that at the box office, which goes to show you that it was a box office hit. To me, it was a box
Right.
office
Because they
hit.
tell us Black people can't sell seats.
Right.
Nobody
Exactly.
wants to see a
Exactly.
black people roll around in that
Yeah.
beautiful grass, in a love scene. That's what they told us. But black people came out. We showed
Yeah.
up. We showed up
And
like we did when it was time to vote this last election. That's how we showed
well,
up for Jason's
but
Lair.
think about it. But when you think about it, think about 1994. You
Mm-hmm.
you had a lot of these romantic type movies because you had Love Jones that had come out.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brown Sugar was out, had been out. I think around that time frame.
It
So
came out
you
a little
had
later. Yeah.
did it, yeah, but in that 90s time frame, you had a lot of these type of movies that started
Mm-hmm.
to surface and to come about because I think, and I think Love Jones set the tone for
Mm-hmm.
that, because it was a positive movie, it was black professionals, it was our age group at the time because we were
Yeah.
in our early 20s, early to mid
Yeah.
20s.
Because
It was about
Came
us.
out a decade. Brown Sugar came out like early 2000s.
Oh, okay, okay,
So this
okay.
was just like what you're saying with Love Jones, and yeah, and this was like our age group, like you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So we came out, we came out and we supported this movie because this was what we wanted to see. We
Mm-hmm.
wanted to see more of these type of movies.
Mm-hmm.
That that I mean, and when you think about it, and we'll get into the different characters. When you talk about it, this was a lot of people's households, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and the dysfunction that was dealt within the stories in here and everything like that. So that's what I think about when I think about Jason's lyric. I think about the love story. I think about the storyline in and of itself. It
Yeah.
wasn't something that you readily, especially back during that time, it wasn't something that was really put on the big screen for
No.
us to be able to go see.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think about those things.
Yeah. And it was just like I said in the beginning, it was a heavy movie because even to watch it now in this space at 50, where I was 21 when it came out, and throughout the years, of course, from 21 to 50, I have seen it multiple times, as many of our viewers and you. But like I said, trying to watch it a few weeks ago, I just wasn't in the mental space to watch some of the scenes because they were tough, especially when we're talking about Mad Dog. So let's think about this. I jotted some things down and remind me to tell a story about Will Smith. Of course, I read the book a couple of times already, and I want to share a Will Smith and Jada Pinkett story about this movie and how all of these years later, Will and Jada are still disputing this fact. And I'm going to tell you about that.
Okay.
And when he wrote the book, he says, I want y'all to finally clear this up for us. So he asked the readers. But so Mad Dog was a drunk because he was suffering from the pains of the war, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Then Josh becomes a drunk, his son, his youngest son. He always had anger, even as a little kid. And then he ends up drinking and escaping pain the same way Mad Dog did, just like his dad. Then you have the older brother, Jason, who is the caregiver for his mother and his brother, which I talked about earlier, and the burden that he put and his family put on him to just be that in life. Jason was responsible for smoothing over everything, and he didn't get breath or air until Lyric showed up in his life. But they both were different after that night when Mad Dog died, when he was killed. And Mad Dog came into the house. Now, we forgot, this is a spoiler alert. If you haven't seen this movie, in all of these years, or your parents ain't told you about it, shame on you and your parents, because we are giving spoiler alerts. That's what we do. Now go run the movie. It's on HBO Max right now. But they both were different after the night that Mad Dog got killed. Now, because Mad Dog still was in love with Gloria, and he still was, his mind wasn't right from the war, and he came into the house trying to come in. And Jason, they don't reveal this in the beginning of the movie. They just show Jason not being able to sleep and having night sweats and bad dreams. And it's discovered that Jason is the one that killed the father, Mad Dog, by mistake for beating his mom. He didn't mean to do it as a child. So throughout the movie, they make you think that Josh did it because Josh is not right. And you can see it. He's in and out of jail, criminal activities, and suffers from mental illness, just like Mad Dog. When Jason and Lyic meet, the romance begins. It starts at the TV shop, then it goes to her job, her house. You know, it's a beautiful love story. You want to talk, which part do you want to talk about? Do you want to start talking about the love story or the dynamics between the brother or Mad Dog in them?
Well, I got a couple different things, and you just kind of took off. Um, but my thing is I'm gonna ask you this, since you've watched it in 1994
Mm-hmm.
and you've watched it up to now, and you're talking some 31 years later, do you see the movie differently now than you saw it back then?
Probably so. Probably so, because I don't I remember even then I was a deep thinker, and of course anyone's
Mhm.
affected by this movie because it was heavy. But I'm not sure if I thought it was as heavy as it was then as I do now.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
probably, with life experience and growth and understanding, you know, the importance of mental health and what happens to these Black men who come back from the war, I know for sure I was empathizing back then, but I don't know if I fully understood that at 21.
Mhm.
Because
Right.
our 21 was a different 21 that's now.
Yeah, it sure for sure is, for sure is. All right, so let me ask you this: did you take from the movie that Jason killed Mad Dog by mistake, or do you think he was intentional about killing him?
Well, in the
Because he
movie,
was protecting his mother.
he was protecting his mother, but yeah, but in the movie, it shows when it comes back, it shows that he didn't mean to do it because he just turned around with the gun. Like he meant to scare him. I don't think he meant to kill him. And as a
Yeah,
kid,
because how old was he at
he
that
was a
time?
little
Was he
kid.
supposed to be? Was he supposed to be 10 or so? Something like
Somewhere,
that?
or maybe 11, 12, somewhere around there, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And that was a different, like, you know, you react because you get it, you just want to get him off your mom, like you don't intend to kill him, you know. And I honestly don't think that he did mean to, because even when he was crying in Lyric's lap and was like, I want my daddy back, you know, I miss my daddy, I don't think he meant to do that. And then, like Gloria was saying, you know, he wasn't Mad Dog anymore, he died long before y'all
right.
killed him,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I think about that, and I think about, you know, so many different lines that I love from that movie. But I must say, you know, you will know, with the Black Men United, that song that came from this movie, that's one of
Hmm.
my favorite songs
Yeah.
probably ever, collaborations
Mm,
ever.
mm,
That You Will Know song, when
yeah.
Brian McKnight put that together, it's still one of my favorite songs. When I see all those beautiful Black men singing
Yeah.
that, coming together, that song, it still gives me chills.
Yeah, because they performed that on Arsenio Hall, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
at the time. At the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was definitely probably the one of the best songs off of that soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Um that was on there. So
You
yeah,
will know.
yeah, definitely. I mean, and like you said, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about Mad Dog's character, Forrest Whitaker, who plays Mad Dog, because that's a serious issue,
Yeah.
and I don't think that it's talked about enough. I don't think that it's put into the space like it should be, because we were talking about last night on over in Clubhouse. We were talking about entrepreneurship and mental health,
Mm.
and we got into a little bit of just overall mental health and
Mm-hmm.
what the things that ooh, the things that we need to do
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that we are okay. because
Yeah.
there are a lot of us, and there's so many veterans, even now that are dealing with, PTSD and those other mental health issues and everything
Yeah.
like that. Because even um, a business associate of mine, he's doing something on March 22nd. It's called the 2022 Mental Health Check-in Challenge, and he's asking everyone to because it's going to be a panel discussion, but it's also going to be where he wants people to check in
Mm-hmm.
with their family, with their friends, with
Yeah.
veterans, anyone that you know is a veteran, just to make sure that you're okay. You
Yeah.
know, because that's a serious thing, and that line that you talked about that Gloria makes, telling her sons that
Mm-hmm.
they killed Mad Dog was gone even before he got back
Mm-hmm.
from here, which is
Mm-hmm.
true. A lot of them don't cut that. I mean, there's not. I mean, I guess it's more that come back, not
Mm-hmm.
too affected, but there's
Mm-hmm.
some. There's got to be some residual. I don't care
Yeah.
if you talk to any veteran. There's
Yeah.
some residual
Yeah.
effect of
Yeah.
when you've been in a war or you've been in
Yeah.
combat. You can't.
Yeah.
I know that it is. You
Yeah.
know.
And
So
they ask
then,
him, did you ever love him? Or because
yeah,
they only knew that, that Josh
right,
was young. So even when Jason was trying to explain who his dad used to be, and
yeah,
he had him loving planes, and
right.
he had a fascination. Even when Lyric was like, well, what is your fascination with
Hmm.
airplanes? And he begins to tell a sweet story about his dad,
Hmm.
and airplanes. But I love, there were so many sweet spots and beautiful things in this movie, even when they saw the buses and that imagination, and how
Hmm.
Lyric was from the hood, and she was like, she didn't deal with guys from the hood because she didn't know if they would be alive, but she had this vivid imagination to kind of take her away. And I
Hmm.
love stuff like that, when she was like, where do you think that bus is going? And then they
Right.
come. And even when he was like, shoot, I'm Prince Charming, when she said, I have this big dress, and he kind of fell right in line with her. That's always one of my favorite scenes. Aesthetically, the cinematography, just everything is just so beautiful about the open doors. And I would say, you don't have to spend a lot of money for romance and doing things. Like, you can have, they spent no money, even
No,
when he got that bus with his friend on that bus, had that bus driver, and he was on the bus, and then he had some Chinese food that could have cost him not even $20. It's just the whole idea of
tell
the
you,
grandiose and not spending a lot
I'm
of money to do something wonderful.
I'm gonna make your sister girls mad right here. Tell them that again. That these don't that you don't have to spend a lot of money to have fun. Because I
You
was
don't.
it was I was what was I was listening to
That be
and don't ask me why I was listening to I think I think it was either Clubhouse or on I was on YouTube, but they were talking about um who should who should pay. Matter of
oh,
fact, I
you
think it was
always get in
Anthony
that.
O'Neill who should
You
pay for the
always
first
get on
date.
that.
I know. Who
You
should pay for the
always.
first date, right? Oh yeah, matter of fact, it was YouTube because I was watching Anthony O'Neill, and he asked a question about paying for the first date, and he was interviewing this couple, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they had been married just for a year, and
Mm-hmm.
he asked the young lady, he said if the guy that she was married to now had he was talking about who it should they go half.
Mm-hmm.
But he was saying if he had asked her out and he had said that well, hey, he couldn't afford to pay for her half of the meal, would she still have gone out with him?
Mm-hmm.
And of course she said no. She was like, no, she wouldn't have gone out with him, you know. And so you can make it a great time, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, without having to spend a lot of money. People act as if, you know, um, going to a fancy or five-star restaurant is something that you have to do. No,
At
I mean,
some
that could
point,
be
it would be great, but not all the time. Like, who
time.
doesn't
Yeah,
want to be wined and dined and go to somewhere nice? You can implement that, but if you don't have money, it doesn't mean that you can't
yeah. If
be
it's not in your
with.
budget, right?
Right. You can't,
Absolutely.
because when Jason had his bus driver friend pull up on that bus stop
Yep.
on her, and she got on that bus, he blindfolded her. He took her to that beautiful building
Yeah.
with all of the art. When she looked up, and he had some Chinese food buckets on
Yep.
the table,
On
and
the
they
table.
danced. And then even when they went to the outdoors, wherever they went, how beautiful
Hmm.
it was, and how they were,
Right.
using their imaginations and reenacting, what they thought, and they made love outside on the roads. It was beautiful, and a lot of money wasn't spent. It's
Yeah.
about
Yeah. Absolutely.
creativity and being with someone that you want to be around.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that you, and to me, when you take the time to do something, one that's creative, it shows the other person how much you're vested in them and that you're
Yeah,
thinking about them because you
yeah,
want to, you want to show somebody that you're that interested in them.
yeah,
But then it also gives you, to me, it gives you the opportunity to, hey, I want to get to know you. Let's have it. It'll also tell you whether or not you can have a conversation with somebody
yeah,
too. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. And I love how she was playing hard to get, but not really. When she was like, "Can I see
No,
you
yes,
again?" He
you
was
would.
like, "If it's meant to be, you'll see me again." And she saw him. Then he was like, when
Yeah,
can we
but
get together again? And she said, "Surprise me." And he took her on that, and he surprised her. And I just think it was beautiful. How she spoke, how the whole love story unfolded, because that's what you want. The young love, and you want to someone else to make you think again, or dream again, or show you that you can. It's that tender, sweet love story, in the midst of the Fifth Ward in Houston, Texas, with all the hood life and the killing and the drug game and everything else, that you can find this sweet love story. So it was like story A and story B within this movie. So the way they described it was pretty accurate.
yeah. Now, do you now because you mentioned something and I'll pick up on it. You said that she played, she did, she played, as if she wasn't interested. Do you think that that's a good thing to do?
I think on that I think it was cute. I think it was cute. You ain't gotta jump to it all the time. You can have a little spice, like if it's mint. I think that was cute, because you can tell she was feeling him. They're young. There was young love. I don't think anything was wrong with it.
Well, not that there's anything wrong with it, but I mean, of course, this is a movie, but in real life, dude could have been like deuces, and
What
we never see each other again.
Right, and that could have been fine. You know what I'm saying? If it's meant to, whatever's meant to be and what God's ordained, it is. You get what I'm saying? So even if she did that and she missed out, she don't know what she missed out on.
But well, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. You don't know what you're missing out on because well, of course, the movie's not going to go there. But in real life, if you do that, and you could miss out on the possibility of missing out on what Jason and Lyric had. Is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
you could have, but I think because their circles and who they are, I think she knew she would run into him again. I think she did.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were
Mm-hmm.
right in Houston, I think that she knew that she would run into him again. I just do. I don't know why. But that the restaurant, they ran into each
That's what I was
other.
gonna say. Whether it's the restaurant or
Right,
or the bus stop, because she catch
right
the
at the
bus
bus
on.
stop,
She was
right.
catching the bus.
So the soul food restaurant from the movie where she worked was located near the campus of Texas Southern University. It was a real restaurant. The railroad scene in the film over the Buffalo Bayou and the Allen Parkway was since demolished. It's not there anymore. Just giving some trivia. Um, the soul food restaurant where Alonzo steps inside is the former location of This Is Soul Food at the former West Gary location. I guess the people in Houston know about that. In real life, check this out. Suzanne Douglas was only 11 years older than Alan Payne. So she wasn't really old enough to be his mama.
Yeah.
The film originally received an NC-17 rating, but after a few seconds were edited from the sex scene, it received an R rating instead. So if it was an NC-17, then it would have been on limited theaters, and they didn't want that. It wouldn't have made all of the movie.
Right,
so in this movie, there's a steamy love scene, as we talked about, between Alan and Jada. As graphic as the scene was, there was much more to it. So much that even on that part, they would even consider it an X rating. The team had to trim down the sex scene to make it an R-rated movie. All right, so since we're talking about the love scene, so in Will Smith's book, talks about it, and Will is silly, and Will got jokes, and Jada was not feeling it. So his grandmother, Gigi, found out he was dating a starlet based from his sister Ellen, who told it. And Gigi didn't know who Jada Pinkett was. But Will was talking about how fine she was, and that's his new girlfriend. So Jada was set on her way to come. So Gigi left Philadelphia to come to California to meet this new girlfriend. So they're sitting at Will's house, and Jada is on her way. He said he timed the movie. He knew how long the movie was because he had seen it. And when Jada walked in, he wanted the love scene rolling around in the grass to be playing when she walked in the door meeting his grandmother.
So that's foul.
He sees the scene with her rolling around, and Jada walks in the door as she's butt naked on the screen. So that was supposed to be a joke, so they can have a story on how Jada met his grandmother. But of course, Jada was not having that and was like, "Will, can I come? Can I see you in the back?" And she was mortified that's how he met his beloved. That's how she met his beloved grandmother.
Yeah, that's not funny. I'm sure that's not funny.
He still thinks that it's not funny, and he still thinks it's funny. And even after all of these years, they still have a battle with, was that funny or not? Jada's still saying no. Will still saying yes.
But did Will say why he thought that was funny?
Because it's his sense of humor.
That's not a sense of humor, though.
Right, but to him, that's what you sound like Jada.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, I don't see how you get that to be funny. I don't care who you are. That's not. I'm taking you to. Right. If I'm taking you to meet my grandmother, and I think it's funny that she see the woman that I'm going to be with butt naked rolling around,
and you know what that scene looks like. Even though I remember them saying she had a stomach.
I wonder what his grandmother said.
He said she was just like, he said that she was like, because she was really, 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 really churchy and Christian.
Yeah.
So Will says that later that his grandmother and Jada had a sweet, wonderful relationship, and he says he swears it's because of how he introduced her.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So he said he wants us to put it to rest for once and for all. Is it funny or not?
Yeah, well, it ain't got nothing to do with anybody else but him and Jada.
But
and Jada ain't right, and Jada ain't find it funny.
No, she didn't. She was Jada. She wasn't Jada Pinkett Smith back then. She was Jada Pinkett. All right.
I'm meeting your family, and the first image that you want them to have of me is butt naked in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Rolling around, sweating outside with Alan Payne.
Yeah. Okay, Will.
Right. And he talks about it in his book to this day, and that's a bestseller now. It's sold 1 million, a million copies. So 1 million of us or more have heard the story or shared the story. All right, so Jason and Lyic, had a lot of romance.
Hmm.
Love
Different types of romance too.
different types of romance, even when she went to his job at the TV. Remember when it was raining, she
Hmm.
came in. But it also, if you listen to her friend, it almost was like that was the first time she made love. Because remember when she was saying what happened, and she said, "Ooh, Lyric girl, you done made love." Because she was like, "He even washed my feet," and she was like, "Oh, he washed your feet. I wish an inner would wash these feet." And then when she was looking at Lyric, she's like, "You done made love." So it was like it was her first time making love,
Hmm.
and it was sweet.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and that's what I think. Like you were saying, their relationship was one that I won't say that people dream about having, so to speak. That you meet the person, you all are well, you can speak from the woman's perspective, but you meet a guy that you already have in your mind this image of what you want, in somebody, and
Or
then
somebody come into your life and let you know what you want.
yeah, and he seemed to be what she was looking for
Mhm.
in a relationship and
Yeah,
everything like that. And when that comes to fruition and it comes to reality and it meets the expectation that you have for it,
mhm.
you know, um, I thought that was really good. And like I said, that was something that you really didn't see in movies when it came to us,
Yeah,
up until the Love Jones, and there was some before that, but mainly that '90s time frame was when you really, like, those of us that are that age really started to see those kinds of movies being put out there more and more, which was really needed,
yeah,
back then. We needed those positive images, and to be able to, we need to see black love. We really
yeah.
do still to this
In a
day.
tender raw
Um,
form.
yeah, yeah, because I put on my page, one of my Facebook friends. Her name is Dr. Lynn Richardson, but it was her and her husband were in their kitchen, and they had this nice jazz. And I'll tag you on it, but they have this nice jazz, kind of like jazz, up tempo jazz playing, and they're
Mhm,
just swinging, they're dancing, and I thought it was the greatest thing to see. And we
mhm.
need, because they were their anniversary. They were celebrating like their 47th anniversary.
Oh,
So,
wow. Wow.
yeah, so they were dancing in the kitchen, and
Yeah,
she thought enough of it to video it, and I thought it
yeah,
was great. I'm like, we need to see
yeah,
those kind of things. And Jason's lyric was something like that. We need to see that,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So especially in this day and time when we
yeah,
know relationships are, just black men and women's relationships right now.
yeah.
It's just, you just can't do anything but shake your head at the way that the mindset of men, the mindset of women, just the whole thing is just really, out of pocket right now.
It takes
So
a
to
lot
see
to make
that,
a relationship work. It takes a
yeah,
lot,
absolutely,
but if you lose those tender moments, it's hard to get them back.
yeah,
It's
absolutely,
hard to get them
absolutely,
back. And,
yeah,
that just reminded me of young love. Like, because the beginning of any relationship is just so wonderful. Think about when
yeah.
you're young and it's young love, and, you're free and you want to run away together and all of that. It's just, your first real love. Like, that's a sweet spot. And I
Yeah.
love that they had it in the middle of the hood. I want to switch gears and talk about Josh. So, how
Oh, yes,
Josh was
yes,
ending
yes,
up in and out of prison.
yes.
Jason was always there to pick him up. The mother was, loving him, had a love hate relationship. She just was disgusted with Josh, trying to love him, that whole thing. Like, some people are hard to love, what people say, and trying to. And, he is just becoming more and more mentally unhinged and unstable. And it plays out even more when the mother rejects his advances when he buys food with drug money, or when now Jason is seeing Lyic and he feels that Lyic is going to take him away from his brother, or when he starts on that stuff and they start trying to rob the bank, and he's just on one. Like, you start to see him, you see him in as a child, like this angry, mad child, and grows up to still be that way. And as the movie progresses, his mental health just becomes very evident, and he becomes unhinged to even where his friends were tolerating them, because like he's just a little off, like people would say about people, you're just a little off, but then they start to see it's much more than that, and then we know what happens at the end of the movie. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, and I'll even go a little deeper to that, well, because we were talking about relationships, but the relationship between Josh and Jason. And like you were saying, Jason was an enabler as well,
Yeah,
but
because
he
he
was
was taught to be one since he was little.
right. But I think also him being that enabler came from him feeling guilty about him and Josh, and that's the way that the movie kind of, that's why it kind of made you think a little bit that um that
Josh
that
did it.
that no that did yeah that Josh had did it
Mm-hmm.
because of because of how he had, like you said, how he had gotten progressively worse mentally,
Mm-hmm.
and then Jason always looking out for him, saying, I got to take care of him. I got to make sure that, that I cover for him.
And
And I
even
think
the
he felt like,
moms
right,
putting it on him.
right,
Go see about your brother. That
right,
thing too.
right, right. And he always felt like he was obligated, almost like Tyler Perry's. Remember the movie what's the one Good Deeds, Good Deeds,
Yeah.
where
Mm-hmm.
he felt obligated to his brother because his brother had helped him,
Yeah.
you know, when he was little. So to me, you had a similar dynamic there
Mm-hmm.
with that, where Jason felt that way about Josh. I
Yeah.
got to take care of him. I got to look out for him. I got to make sure that he's okay, no matter what he did. And that's the way that Josh felt. That,
Yeah.
hey, no matter what trouble I got into, Big Brother was always going to be there to get me
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And then of course, when Lyric comes along, he's like, you're trying to take away my security
He has
blanket.
another, right. He got another, his eyes are somewhere else. He got, something else to focus on.
Yeah. And he's not going to be there for me. You know, he's not going to be there for me. So anything that's going to
Mm-hmm.
keep me from keep Jason from being
Mm-hmm.
there for me, I have to remove it
Yeah.
and everything. So it would, yeah, that relationship between Josh and Jason was deep too.
Yeah.
And like you said, this movie was deeper than what I think people thought.
Yeah.
And it did make you think about the different family dynamics, but it also
Yeah.
made you think about the different types of relationship, because even Lyric and Alonzo, because they were brother and sister.
And
And
that was deep.
yeah, 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 they even with them, and Lyric knew the way that Alonzo was, you know and
Didn't even
and
want
and
her brother for her friend. It was like, you could
right,
do better than him.
right, right.
And you know what bothered me at the end of the movie, when after he's making love to his woman in the truck and he comes and everybody's all shot up, his boys, he goes straight to his boys as Jason is walking Lyic out the house. He don't even
Hmm.
go see about his sister. I always thought
Yeah,
that was so weird. He goes straight to his
to
boy.
them.
And then it was
Hmm.
almost like, were the parents dead? Was it just him and her, him and
Right,
Lyric and Lonzo in the house? Like,
right.
it's just the dynamics. And a
Yeah.
lot of folks are like that. Did he buy it? Was that grandma and them's house? Or did he buy the house with drug money? Or was it passed down? Or did she feel like she was stuck there, even though she was bigger and different than what they were doing in her, her world? Um, and and it also was like with Alonzo, he didn't like the fact that his sister was dreaming and she had
Right.
good dude, which was weird. Like, because every brother usually wants his sister to have a good dude, but it was almost like he thought Jason was better than him, or maybe that's something he wanted for himself, but he only seen his life like that. You know what I'm saying? It
Right.
was really
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. In most instances, brothers do want to look out for they look out for their sister, and they want the sister to have a good dude, and or as brothers and protectors of our sisters, we always be like, no, don't mess with him, sis. He ain't, he
Yeah,
ain't this, or he ain't leave him
right.
alone. That type of deal and stuff like that. So I mean. That's what I said. This story really had different types of relationships within the story to me.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed to be a lot that we had to be able to talk about and to unpack here.
Mm-hmm.
That we think that so that is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Even with even with Lonzo and and um Lisa Nicole's what's her name, Marty, I think was her character's
Mm-hmm.
name.
Marty. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but even her being involved with Lonzo,
She thought
you
she couldn't
know,
get no better.
yeah, because she felt like right that she couldn't do any better, and I would hate I don't want sisters to think that they have to settle for a Alonzo.
Mm-hmm.
That might be what some of them want. I think some of them want
Mm-hmm.
that Lonzo, that
Or
Lonzo,
some
because
of them, that's all that's in their hood, and and they don't see the other one because
yeah,
the other one may look corny or they don't look like they can protect them. And some of them girls just want to be protected in that violent type of lifestyle. And they think
yeah,
it's cute because that's what they know. But Lyric saw her brother and was like, I don't want no parts of that.
right. And see, that's what you said. Where Lyric wanted more, as opposed to her friend
Mm-hmm.
Marty. She
Mm-hmm.
didn't see it. She might have thought that a Jason was corny.
Mm-hmm.
A lot
Because
of
remember she
sisters,
said
a lot of
everybody don't have a Jason. Remember she said it?
mhm, mhm, yeah, yeah.
There's
I
no
mean,
option of a Jason. We got to take an Alonzo.
mm, well, is it that you? Well,
That's how she presented that.
yeah. And my thing is it that you have to take an Alonzo, or is it that you don't see anything? Because there could have been more Jasons, there could
Mm-hmm.
have been more Alonzos within,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just talking, we're just talking,
Mm-hmm.
if we want to talk real life, we
Mm-hmm.
know that to me, there are more Jasons than there are Alonzos, but the Alonzos are the ones that get picked.
Because sometimes in the hood, that's all you see. That's
Right.
the ones making the
Yeah,
loudest noise. You don't see.
that's true.
You might see the Jasons in the house because they don't want to be bothered with that, or they might be the target to a lot of Alonzos.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Mm-hmm.
so you got to think of that type of environment where that's what people are doing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To survive. And Alonzo might not even have been Alonzo if he was loved right, or if he had
Mm-hmm.
other opportunities in different circumstances. You get what I'm saying? Or a
Yeah, absolutely.
way out. But some of them feel like they don't see a way out. And I
Yeah.
think that's why he was envious of Jason, because
Right.
he seemed like,
Right.
he had a job. Some might be like TV store, wasn't no Best Buy or Circuit City or nothing. It was a little, it was a little TV
That
shop.
couldn't have that couldn't have been Houston having a little TV shop. That had to have been somewhere out, maybe on the outskirts of Houston or
No,
something. But
I don't like
Houston is
no the gutter, not in the Fifth Ward. That's like the hood.
really okay.
Ain't no major businesses coming there in that hood.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-mm,
Okay. Okay.
mm-mm. That all them TVs be gone by tomorrow. They say the Fifth Ward or Sixth Ward, that it ain't no joke in the hood like that.
Really? Down in Houston.
And
Wow.
yeah, they say H Town ain't no joke. Like now, you thinking about the nice up suburbia side of Houston. You're probably
Right.
thinking that
Right.
there's
Right.
probably a
Right.
whole lot, but in the hood, think about if they gonna put in Baltimore, if they gonna put a Circuit City right by North Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue. They ain't doing it. You get what I'm saying? It ain't going down. So it's think about like that, you know. And if you're watching wherever you're from, think about the hood in your area, not the outskirts where you drive to get a better grocery store or a better this or that. Think about the, you know, the hood, like where people just on a corner on the porch all day long in front of the liquor store or what have you. That's what, you know, what it was like. It was like greasy out there.
Like you said, you ain't gonna find a Best Buy or a Circuit City or nothing in there, but you sure not gonna find a corner liquor store, ain't you?
You gonna find a liquor store. You gonna find maybe a nail salon. You gonna find some funeral homes. That's what you're gonna find. A check cashing place.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely
right. So, but when you think about that, so let's switch gears to the mom, how he felt like that Josh was trying to do right. And when he cooked all that dinner, the roast and everything for his mom, and she came in immediately throwing it away because she don't want no drug food, so to speak. But then also how the mom put so much pressure on Jason. Go see about your brother. Go be there for your brother, where Jason felt like their lives connected and he couldn't even leave to go to Dallas, which is a neighboring city, to be a manager at the TV shop because he didn't want to leave his brother and his mother. So let's talk about those two things.
Now, did he not want to leave his mother, or did he feel as if he left his mother, she wouldn't be protected from Josh?
It could be. It could be both.
Yeah.
It could be both.
That's tough. You know what I'm saying? To kind of be in that situation where you felt, and then there's some families that are like that, where some sons feel like they're trapped, some daughters may feel like they're trapped, or don't say trapped, but obligated.
Me, because my siblings, I had a problem after, a minute, and we had kind of like a low key falling out because when I came to Maryland, my mom moved here 3 years to be closer to me. So then I have a sibling, that my mom raised in Pennsylvania, and then I have my brother who is in New Jersey, right? And in Maryland, my mom had to go in and out of emergency rooms, different surgeries, different things, even financially, a lot of different things I was doing for her. And I had two other people that she had raised, and I feel like they weren't. They were like, she's the oldest, she can do it. Even one of them said, well, we just thought she was fine because you were there. But the whole burden, I don't want to call it a burden, but lack of better words, was on me. And I was going to move to Atlanta one time, but then I was like, well, who's going to be here for my mom? So I didn't go do what I was going to do, and I continued. So then we kind of had a falling out because they weren't doing anything. I'm just going to keep it real. I was doing everything, and sometimes the burden is on one person, but they're trying to shift it now, and I don't have any of that on me other than me still being the one in Maryland. But it didn't come at ease. It came looking at me like, how dare you say that? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And total, say a total, well, not a sidebar to what you were talking about. I don't know if you are following her on Instagram, but I think her real name is Brandy. I forgot her last name, from P Valley, the one that plays Mercedes.
Oh, you always talk about her. You like her.
I love her. But on Instagram, if you follow her, she is a caretaker, so to speak. She's taking care of her mother. She has somebody that helps her, but she is fully in. I mean, she does videos taking her mom. I mean, her and her mom be going everywhere. I mean, just doing all. And I love that she's actually embraced that. Being taking care of her mother because of her, disability and everything like that. And I thought that's just the greatest thing to see. Because it
Yeah.
is like you were saying, it's got to be tough. It's not
Yeah.
easy. Now she's in a different position because she has help. She's able to have help.
Mm-hmm.
But in those rough days and stuff like that, where it's
Yeah.
just her and her mom and stuff, and
Yeah.
the burden is left on her.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
You
And
know
then
that
you
that's tough.
feeling like, or even if somebody doesn't say you're assigned to this, the
Hmm.
action show that. And like with
Yeah.
Jason, he was like, you know, this man done stole $10 from the mom. Remember, he stole them at Frenchie's. He stole the money out the mom's register. She said all her
Mm-hmm.
7 years went away just like that because her own son had her register short of $10.
ten
So
dollars.
even that,
Mm-hmm.
even just her just wanting to love him, but then kind of
Yeah.
disgusted with him at the same
Right.
time, wanting him to do better, but then understanding that was Mad Dog's son and the ghost of Mad Dog was in her
Was in
son.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
tough. And then with a mother too, depending on Jason so much, even when she gave him permission to baby go live your life, and he
Mm-hmm.
needed that permission because Lyric was like, if not now, when? Like, we ready to go. She's sitting by the bayou, sitting on her suitcase, like, come on. And then she sees him all beat up, like, oh. And that's when she realizes and he reveals to her what happened when he was young and the trauma that he was holding.
Right.
And then she kind of broke up with him, like, you know what, you got me all excited and we were going to have this life together. And she broke up with him, because she was ready to go into a better life, like to get on one of them buses and go.
And just
And I
go.
think
Mm-hmm.
people have to really live their lives, but it's so much trauma that people are carrying and so many family secrets and so many family dynamics that it's hard for people to live a healthy functioning life.
Yeah, no,
Movies.
it really is. It really is. And when you throw all of those obstacles in
Mm-hmm.
in someone's way, it can be easy for you to be kind of swept away by it. Like Josh was. I really think that
Mm-hmm.
those, like we talked about, the mental issues that Mad Dog had, Josh had those same kind of mental
The
issues,
same
not necessarily from the
identical.
war. Yeah,
Even
yeah,
drinking. Like
right.
Mad Dog was a drunk, and so was he.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was
and
a
trying to
wild
escape
card. He didn't
something.
know what was going to happen. He was trying to escape the pain.
Yeah, that. And okay, I need you to put your life coach hat on real quick.
Oh,
But is that part of the addiction, is trying to escape your what you think is the pain, and you think that that's gonna it'll numb it? Because I really truly believe that people know that
1,000%.
that pain is not going away.
But they don't
But
need
are
it
you
to
going
go
to do?
away. That's the
Mm-hmm.
thing, Leroy. They don't need it to go away forever. They need it to go away temporarily when they're
Rarely.
having those thoughts that don't shut off and those
Got you.
memories and of that trauma. They want to
Hmm.
ease and eliminate the pain for the moment. They know it's not
Hmm.
going to go away, but that's how they're able to cope, to get up and get
Hmm.
dressed or to eat. Or if they're focusing on the bottle and the drinking, then they don't have to think about the real. They don't have to
Yeah.
pay attention to real life,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's that coping mechanism, an unhealthy
Yeah.
addiction, but
Yeah.
it's deep. It's deep.
Yeah, yeah, that
It's deep.
definitely is, and it goes to show you how we each deal with, we deal with pain, and even circumstances. Jason dealt with his one way, and he escaped to, I think, where he would go watch the planes.
Yeah,
That was his
that
his
was his
his
piece.
place. Yeah,
His
that was
piece.
his peace, and a way to be able
Mhm.
to deal with it. Whereas Josh became reckless with
Yeah,
with his, because he would get involved in doing dumb stuff, getting in, robbing people and everything like that,
yeah,
because of whatever. And it didn't help that the people that Josh hung around weren't positive people as well
right.
either. You know what I'm saying?
You'll have a
So
child, you'll have two children, one that's going to be exactly like the person, the parent, or one that's going to be like, I don't want to be nothing like the
no,
parent.
like,
you
yep,
know
you're exactly right. That
And
is so true.
innately, yeah, and innately, and even unintentionally, that's what happens. Like, because Josh never set out to say, oh, I want to be a drunk and suffer
Right.
with mental illness like my dad, but chemically and just being around that really, that really is something that has to really be looked at, especially in the Black community. That
Yeah.
mental health is really, taking care of yourself, because we're all holding traumas and different things that have happened in our lives, and instead of seeking help or trying to work through it, or even knowing that we can work through it, it's like, this is my life, this is what it is, and then you're trying to deal with it by yourself, and you don't have the tools and don't understand how to even do that. So then
Yeah.
you use these mechanisms to cope.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
ultimately, as we're coming to an end, we have to talk about, the house, that last scene where Eddie Griffin's character says Joshua's going crazy. Remember, he's in the bar, and then they
Hmm.
like, he's going crazy. He's going to go attack Alonzo and them, because Alonzo and them beat him to a pulp when they were doing the bank robbery, and he was so
Right.
drunk and wasted, whatever he was on drugs, whatever he was, that he messed up with the time. Now, I've seen enough Ocean 6 and 11 to know that time counts. Like, that every second counts. And they told him, don't come here. You can't be late. Because when I watch the movies, every second counts, because they know they didn't research this thing, right?
Right.
And he came
Right.
in as a wild card, trying to steal the watch, shooting people, acting
Right.
like, what's his name off Jungle Fever, Sam Jackson, Gator, acting like Gator coming up in there, and they beat him to a pulp.
Cool.
And then he
Yeah.
stumbles in the house with Jason and his mom Gloria there, and then of course Jason goes in protection mode and wants to go get Alonzo. I always thought, like, dang, Alonzo didn't even try to retaliate. He just was still sitting on the porch after he got his butt whooped. He wouldn't even own up to it
No.
to his boys.
Because I think Lonzo knew. Yeah, he didn't want to admit it to his boys, but I think Jason wasn't somebody that he wanted to go after,
No.
because I think he understood that, one, that was his brother,
Right.
but then two, that whole ordeal. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was just, and he had done enough damage to Josh anyway, so
Yeah.
you know,
So
you
then,
know,
they of course they called Jason, like Jason is the daddy, and said, Josh going wild. Eddie Griffin, he could
yeah,
not act in that scene. I was watching that again, laughing when he was like, Josh going wild, he gonna get him. So they went to go, and then Jason runs out the car to go up there. And Josh had already killed the boys on the porch, and he was upstairs with a gun to Lyric's head, saying, you taking my brother, and she was, acting her butt off. And then of course Jason is now faced with his brother and the love of his life, and what is he going to do? And
yeah.
he shoots Lyric. So they make it seem like his Lyric is dead, her limp body, he carries it out. And then when Jason gets to the step, what happens, Leroy?
You said when he
when
gets to the
Jason is
step.
when Jason is carrying Lyric out the door, and something still happens in the house.
Well, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, Josh kills himself. Yeah,
Yep. So
and
now
and
we
he
added
does it
suicide to this movie.
right.
It's heavy.
Exactly. And I think when Jason hears the shot,
He jumps.
he know he I don't want to say he felt relief, so to speak, because that burden was off of
I
him, and
kind of felt that too.
that's kind
I,
of bad way to think about
I
that
felt that too.
scenario.
I thought that too.
But I felt that way a little bit about it. I'm just like, he felt a sense of, and even for his brother, even for
Yes.
Josh, he's like,
Yes.
he doesn't have to
Yes.
live in that
Yes.
madness anymore within his
Yes.
head,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
So that's kind of how I saw
Me too.
that scene, that how I took that. I mean, I don't think like everybody else. So
No, but
hallelujah.
Leroy, that's why we do this show, because I felt the same way. I felt the
Really?
same
Yeah.
way. I'm not sure when I saw it when I was 21 if I felt
Right.
that same way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
50-year-old Kendall saw it that way. You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
probably 21-year-old Kendall, when I first watched it, saw it as being sad and tragic and
Right.
dang. I don't think
Right.
that I thought as deep, like now he's at peace. You know, he doesn't have to wrestle with the demons in his head. But then, you
Yeah.
know, I'm not judging the suicide. You know, people be like, well, you can't, but I'm just talking about the death, right?
Right.
So then you
Right.
have
Right.
Jason almost like sad, but relieved, but confused, but hurt because he's holding Lyic and then he stops on
Yeah.
that
That's a
step when he
lot of.
hears, and
Whew,
then he,
that's a
but
lot of
then the
emotions.
person, right, then the person that shot himself just shot the love of his life. And
Yeah.
where he sees a different life and he wants to change and have a better life. And then you, so it's really like the old life and the new life. Which one you gonna choose?
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, that was the heaviness that this movie brought.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, because it was more than just, like you said, it was more than just a love story. There were just so many
More than
dynamics
just a
to,
movie.
yeah, then when you sit and dissect it and everything like that. But just a funny thing in that, not funny thing, but in that scene where Jada gets shot, if you're paying attention, you see she gets hit in the shoulder. She doesn't
Yeah,
get, you
yeah,
don't see her get hit anywhere else on her body.
yeah.
So the next scene when they show them sitting
On the
on the bus,
bus.
you're like, well, dang, how she survived that bullet? It's because she got hit. She only got hit in the she only got hit
Yeah,
in the shoulder.
yeah. But when you see the blood and how she's limp,
Right,
and you don't know what's happening
right,
because it's when you pick up somebody you can, it's like almost like they died. So of course they want us to really think that.
yeah,
But then
right,
I was like, they don't hold back. You know, I remember when I first watched, I'm like, blood on the wall. Like they didn't hold, they made it like horrific. They really did.
yeah,
Like it was a psychological. I'm telling you, this movie is heavy. And sometimes
yeah,
I remember my daughter watched it a few months ago. And she was like, I forgot the ending of that movie because you know she's 28. She's like, I forgot the ending of that movie.
hmm,
She wasn't ready for that because she hadn't seen it as many times as we did because she's not old,
okay,
you know. So when she watched it, she was like, I forgot. I was like, yeah, it's deep. The love story,
hmm,
so you get tangled in the love story with the sweetness of it all, but then it's the grunge and the gulliness, you know, and that
yeah,
hood life wrapped up in that. You know,
yeah,
it was deep. It was deep.
yeah.
If you're just tuning in, we are talking about the movie Jason's Lyric right down there on the ticker. This is MT Jams, more than just a movie. All right, what are your final words about Jason's Lyric? And if
No,
you're
I just
watching live, thank you for watching live. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment and share this video to a movie lover, a classic movie lover, a classic Black film movie lover, a lover of Jason's Lyric. So, final words, Leroy, about Jason's Lyric?
no, I think it was it definitely is one of our black classic movies, a classic more than just a love story. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Because it has these dynamics that we just talked about in it, and I think it was, like I said, if not Jada's best movie, it was one of her, I think one of her best movies that she acted in and performance wise,
One of her
and
first
everything.
movies, too.
Yeah,
One of her,
yeah,
if not
yeah.
first,
So right.
it could
So
have been first.
so definitely you definitely see that she definitely had acting talent. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying? You
mhm.
know, and
And it was the
and
third ward of Houston. I said the fifth, but it was set in the
oh,
third
okay.
ward. I want to be clear.
Okay.
My Houstonians might be like,
Yeah, for real, for real. But yeah, but I thought it was like you said, I thought it was a great movie. It was a heavy movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is probably one of the heaviest movies that we've actually talked about when we think about
Yeah,
it,
it is. And I
and the
think that's
different,
why we put it off.
yeah, and what it had, so many, like we said, so many stories within the stories
Yeah,
that were
yeah,
there, and I like movies that have depth to them, that we
yeah,
can, and I guess that's what makes them classic, is because they have depth to them. They have, the heaviness, not necessarily heaviness to them, but they
yeah,
have depth to them, you know.
yeah.
So
And it's
that'd be my
just,
thing.
I mean, you had sex, you had love, you had mental health, mental illness, mental wellness, whatever you want to say. You had the issue with
Yeah.
vets coming home and not being the same. You had drugs. You had the mother son dynamic, as we talked about in Baby Boy last week. You had what happens in ghetto life in urban cities across this country. You had domestic violence. You had even Jada was disabled. She had a club foot. Do you remember that?
No.
She wore club shoes, and in the movie, she says, my orthopedic shoe. She talks about her ortho because remember she wears those black shoes. So even adding that into it, into the mix, and
Yeah. You
yeah,
just learned me something today because I never knew that.
yeah.
I never knew that. Okay.
Yeah, because every time I watch it, if you watch it, she has those black shoes on, and she'll say
Okay.
something about her orthopedic shoe, and
Okay.
even
Okay.
how she walks, and like not knowing even why did they throw that in, but why not? Because the movie is that layered and that deep,
Yeah.
and then you also have like like socioeconomics when it comes to like your step up is going to move to be a manager, at another
Yeah.
location of a small TV shop, where some might say that ain't nothing, but in that world and where he could be, that is everything. That is an
Yeah.
opportunity. You know what I mean? Where classes people might be like, he can't be making no more than $10 an hour. How is that a step up? But it's, in that world, in that time, it is because you're stepping up because you're not on the street and you're making an honest living. And there's nothing ever wrong with an honest living.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all. This is another episode of More Than Just a Movie, where we break down classic Black films on the spot. Let's think about what you want to do next week.
Well, I already told you. I already told you what I had on my mind. So, I think that'll
okay,
be
you can
great
say
because
it.
we have.
Talk about it.
No. I suggested that we do. I think I love my wife. Chris Rock's movie because I thought that was a hilarious movie. There's a couple of Chris Rocks. That one, I think I love my wife, and then Head of State. I just thought that
Head of
those were
State is my
two.
absolute favorite of all time.
Is it?
That's
Yeah. It
if
is just.
I'm in a mood where I need to be lifted, I put on that movie. That is my
Well, you want
go-to.
to do that one?
Head of State.
You want to do Head of State next week then?
Yeah, we could do that. That's my movie. That's my movie.
Yeah. We'll do Head of State because that's a big laugh. That's a big laugh. That's a huge laugh. And I think I love my wife is good too, but we can do Head of State first, and then we can do I think I love my wife.
Okay.
So
I'm telling you, that's my go-to movie. If I'm feeling like this, I put on that and I giggle all the way through. And because I love smart comedy, I love intelligent comedy, and there's so many different. It just if you're not thinking, the joke is gonna go right past your head. It's almost like the Carmichael show that I love, like that that kind of humor. I love it. All right, y'all.
And you can't tell me that Head of State, the movie Head of State, wasn't Barack Obama before he became Barack Obama. So
it's like it's getting hot in here. It's so many. And let me tell you, I love
wifey.
Robin Givens is hilarious in this movie.
Security.
Now
That's my man.
We're giving y'all heads up. So if you want to join us next week and you have not, if you've been under a rock and you have not seen Chris Rock's Head of State, make sure you find it, search for it so you can join this
and watch
this
it. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. I promise you. You will not be disappointed.
No. And she is like, I can't stick. You gotta see it. You gotta see it. I love it. And then Nate Dogg coming in, and then just everybody. It's just funny. It's funny. Gilliam.
Maze Gilliam. That's what it was. Maze Gilliam. Yeah, Maze Gilliam.
Maze Gilliam is Chris Rock. and he is an alderman who they trick into being the president of the United
Not just
States.
the alderman, they called him a community organizer. So let that sink in, y'all.
Who ends up being the head of state before Barack Obama. All right, y'all. Leroy, love you, man. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody, to MT Jams, More Than Just a Movie, where we break down classic Black films. This week was no different. You see how Leroy and I do. Jason's Lyric, we broke it down the way we know how, adding real life. And that's why the show is called More Than Just a Movie, because these movies have layers, as we do as people. Thank you so much, Leroy. What should they do before we end?
Hey, y'all better hit that notification bell, like, subscribe, and we want y'all to comment too. But we really want you to like, subscribe, and share. Share this with somebody. Share it with somebody. Share it with somebody. Share it with somebody.
Good night, y'all. Peace. MT
Peace.
Jams. Bye, Leroy.
All right, lady.
Thank you for watching, guys.